communities in Ghana along the coast that was visited by the Europeans. The first group that came here were the Portuguese in 1471. Now, briefly, they stayed here for hundreds of years, and they were dislodged by the Dutch, and the Dutch took over for over 300 years. Most of this, when you go to the castle, the slave dungeon, we will have more of the history. And traditionally, this very community of Elmina was a major trading center. It is blessed with fish because of its position at the coast, and also blessed with salt. Within the lagoon, they have a lot of salt. So people from the hinterland come in here to trade, buying salt and fish, and sending and exchanging that with gold and other forest products. So this was a major trading center. And it was no wonder that when the Portuguese came, they saw that a lot of people were adorned in gold back in the 15th century. So if these people turned around to say that Africans were not civilized, they are coming to, bring civilization to Africa, how do we know what gold is? How do we know how to mine, prospect for gold? How do we know how to, produce jewelries to their admiration that they would decide to trade over here? That's food for thought. The Portuguese, the Dutch were allies to the English, and then were allies to the Ashantis, and the people of Elmina were allies to the Ashantis. So the Ashantis have their warriors here who protect the people of Elmina against other enemies. And when the British took over, they tried to get them who were enemies to the Ashantis, they tried to get the Ashantis out. Now, this community in which we are passing is called Bantuma. Bantuma is an Ashanti settlement. This is where the Ashantis were settling. But please quickly look to your left. In the lagoon, you see rectangular ponds, structures. Those are salt ponds. What they do is just construct those ponds, and then the water collects in. The water is heavily laden with salt. So through the process of evaporation, salt crystals are formed, and people naturally harvest. So they don't use any chemical, they don't use machines. And salt was, like I said, was a major trading commodity here. So now back to what I was saying, the Ashantis settled in this area. We'll talk much about the salt later. The Ashantis settled, they were in this area, and we call this place Bantuma. So you go to Kumasi, there is a whole sector called Bantuma. And when the British, after taking over from the Portuguese, requested that the people of Elmina let the Ashantis leave, and they refused, they had to bombard the community of Elmina. We'll talk about this environment later. So they bombarded the community of Elmina and took their king into exile, and we are getting to the fishing market.